It is moving day at the 2022 Lotte Open here at Bears Best in Jung now. We have cut the field in half, and we are getting closer and closer to figuring out who will be our champion, with just over a round and a half of golf still to be played here in the 9th event of the season. We'll start our coverage today on the 9th hole. Putting for birdie at the par 4. Lee Daeyeon missing out on birdie for the first time this tournament, and that is not rare when you look at what is going on with the scoring in this event on the day. When we show you the first leaderboard, we will paint the picture for you, but this course is playing incredibly difficult on Saturday. Disappointing result for Lee Daeyeon, who is 2 back of Sung Eugene for the lead and could have moved into a tie for second had she had that putter ironed out. Sung Eugene, as mentioned, our leader, through 7 holes of her third round, playing 7-iron from the fairway here at number 8. She is even par for the day. Started her round with a bogey, a birdie at the 7th to get back to even and to take over sole possession of the lead, where we left her yesterday at the end of round number 2. So Jung, she is 1 under. Playing her approach at number 9. It's less than 140 to go. Bounces in the middle of the fairway and makes a move to the opposite end of the green. She needed to be left. Certainly very challenging pin placements today, and there will be no slowing that trend down when we make our way to the final round tomorrow. Lee Jung has spent most of the day in a share of the lead. She is still even through 7 and now playing a sand save and doing a wonderful job at getting it up onto the green. Round of 65 yesterday. She had birdied the 2nd earlier this afternoon, bogeyed the 5th, and can get back to 10 under, where she was only at for 2 holes time, if she can hole out on this short putt for birdie and complete the sand save. Well, as we moved into the weekend, this final stretch of holes on the USA course is really starting to turn up the festival atmosphere, with the music blaring out from behind the par 3 7th. EA1's effort from the far left of the green, trying to putt back down to the front right where the pin is located today. It's a decent attempt on the line. It's not quite enough power to get it all the way there. Now after the approach, here's So-Yeon Jung's putt for birdie. 16.5 meters on the wrong side of the green. And looking like a 2-putt par after a formidable first putt. Now Sung Eugene can extend her advantage to 11 under. Has to get this left to right putt to fall, but it stays straight pretty much the entire way in. Her putting had cooled off slightly. Round number 1, she only needed to make 25 putts. Yesterday was 28, though both of those numbers are still well beneath her season average. One of the reasons she's been as successful as she's been so far this week. Amy Jung has just enough on the line to get it over the side of the cup and falling down. She approaches the turn with 3 consecutive pars, and now EA1 will be looking to do the same. If not for a bogey at the final hole of round number 2, she would have been joint top at the midway mark of the tournament. It was a putt from about this distance that she had just misread. A little nervous as it goes all the way around the cup, but it does drop for her in the end. So 9 under is the score she will stay at as she heads to the 9th tee. And last to play in Group 21. Sung Eugene trying to save her par. They teed off at noon. The final group to depart the first tee. And now with a short par putt, they will head to the final hole of their front 9 with that slim lead still in check. Also finishing out with a short par and completing the front 9 of her tournament. And an update on the tournament by tournament charitable holes. Lotte happy to help bring that forward into this event as well, and thus far nearly 42 million won have been raised. And another fantastic charitable display in progress halfway through this Lotte Open, where 4.3 million won have been raised. We had nearly 6 million last week. 6.32 at the 8th Kyochun Honey Ladies Open. Excuse me, so 6.32 at the 2022 NH Investment and Securities Ladies Championship. Well, the opening event of the season is still the mark to beat at 8.1 million won. Fantastic job all around. Punching up nicely with the hybrid. Advancing from fairway to fairway. Yusoyun 2. That started left of the pin and never showed any real desire on working back to the right. .221 meters. She is averaging with driver. Another rocket off the tee. Nicely down into the middle of the fairway. EA1 steps out and will quickly reset. 248 yards is what she was averaging yesterday. That was above her season average. Missed 3 fairways in regulation, which she did as well in round number 1. Also perfect off the tee at number 9 here. 24 degrees today, feeling like 26. Overcast skies, and as long as the rain stays away, which it's supposed to, no risk of rain in the forecast. It's actually a little bit more comfortable out today, away from the sun beating down on the course. Wind is 15 kilometers an hour steadily out of the southwest. And the gusts thus far through the first few hours of the round have been negligible. And that ball heads to the right and avoids the obstacle in the fairway, and we are 3 for 3 in Group 21 as they will make their way down. Yu So-yeon too hasn't left herself with a lot of room for error. Able to recover well and save par. She's ends her run of 3 consecutive birdies. Also playing in a group with the defending champion, Chanana, group number 13. Saw her looking on in the background. Far too much club that time as it bounces off the green and rolls onto the back. She looks over at her caddy, wondering how that picked up as much distance as it did. Well, it will be 5-iron for Jung with 152 meters to make up after narrowly missing the fairway bunker. And that will work out swimmingly. Look at this, closer and closer she gets. That will be a fantastic look at birdie. There's a tendency on tour, those upper echelon distances in the 150 range, to avoid the 4 and 5 irons. Hybrids are a popular selection out here. Slight left to right wind as well for Sung Yoon Jin. Going with 8. Lands that pin high and will use the full length of the green and just stays on. Pin location today is 11 yards off the back of the green and 9 yards off the left, but it is firmly and squarely in behind that left bunker. EA1 has elected to go with 9, and from a comparable distance, this could be the exact right club. So somewhere in between from what we just saw in the most recent shot from EA1, and it is someone at the back, someone just off the front, and a fantastic attack. Mimi Jung, as this featured group makes their way down for the final hole on the USA course. And now we can take it through that leaderboard. So as mentioned, at nearly the midway mark for everyone on course, we are not seeing a ton of low scores with how tricky this course has been playing. Absolutely need to highlight the 3-under round. Chung Yoon Ji, though she is through 14 holes, it is one of the lowest scores of the day, as the defending champ, or last week's champion, excuse me, starts to make a little bit of noise here in round 3 here at the Lotte Open. Time for our featured group to round out the front nine. The first of the birdie putts belongs to EA1, and she narrowly misses to the inside left of the cup. She'll be disappointed to not be picking up a stroke with how near she came, but it is 9 under through 9. We'll find out in just a few moments if that deficit will be 1 or 2. In the meantime, over to Lee Dae-yeon putting from the back of the par 5 10th. Certainly looks like it has the pace to get back up the hill, but some late movement to the left keeps it away. Now Sung Eugene from a similar position. The back edge by the fringe. A shorter putt than EA1's, and she's able to hole out. A little bit of swagger on her way to the hole as she picks up her second birdie in the last 3, so she will be looking at 11 under par. That is 1 stroke lower than where she had started the day. She is picking up some momentum at just the right time. Pretty high degree of difficulty on this second shot. The weight control has to be perfect. Lands in about the perfect spots that she could. That little pitch down. Good try at birdie. She will walk out of her groupmate's line and go over and tap in. Oh, she'll mark off, excuse me, just not quite in tap in range. After a remarkable approach for Amy Jung, she joins the birdie train at number 9, and we'll move into sole possession of second place. And Group 21 will head on over to the 10th tee. Under through 10 for Lee Dae-yeon. And a look at hole number 10. Par 5 to kick off the back 9, 484 meters. There are sand traps that line both sides of the fairway all the way down. Around 235 meters will remain if the drive off the tee can get towards the end of those parallel bunkers. From there, the tree in the middle of the fairway and more sand off to the right. And then the pin placement today at number 10. Very aggressive, 7 yards off the front, 4 yards from the left, and if you attack left, you might be able to just have that downslope come out in your favor. And also the together with LOTTE charity zone in the middle of the fairway as well, something to keep an eye on with these tee shots. Jung is first to play and starting to turn up some of the momentum. And Yusoyeon 2 secures her par. Remains 4 back after the 12th hole. Well, down to 2 final opportunities on this Saturday to find the target. So Eugene was able to find a birdie here in round 1. She parred this par 5 yesterday. So far, so good off the tee.
네, 플레이하겠습니다. 잠시만 멈춰주세요.
EA1 will be desperate, might be a bit of a reach, but very excited to find a birdie again. Hasn't had one since the 2nd hole of the day. Bogeyed par 3 third. Birdie here in round number 2 yesterday. And once again, accurate off the tee, each of the 3 finding the narrow fairway between the bunkers. Well, this has been the path through 201 meters. That second shot, another nicely struck wood as she tried to reach in just 2 strokes. So she only has 20 meters remaining, having come up in the rough. So Jung will play a flop. Catches too much of the fringe and isn't able to carry any closer to the pin. A rather difficult uphill putt for birdie with quite a bit of movement on it as well. Just not quite executed. And then on to 11 after nearly finding the bunker off of the tee. Next shot of 130 meters also comes close to the sand but stays in play. Up on top of the fringe and a downhill putt. Back down to the right side of this green as Lee Dae-yeon looks for birdie. She is 1 under for the day. And nearly able to add another. Reads the break very well. Has nothing to show for it, unfortunately. She was 5 under in round 1. Round of 70 yesterday. And with this par, she will remain at 8 under. Back to 10. So 243 meters off the tee. And now pitching it over, away from the tree to the left side of the fairway. Only 238 remaining for Lee Jung. an identical shot, about 15 meters further ahead than EA1. And before we look at the second for Sung Eugene here, So-Yeon Jung on number 10 as she looks to pick up another birdie. Well, she wasn't walking it in, she was walking forward knowing she'd need one more shot on this 10th hole, so she is only able to come away with par here. Well, the longest drive, and she'll be expecting to remain the shortest remaining distance, but she looks like she's missed the fairway. Keep an eye on her as she goes to try and locate the ball before playing the approach. In the meantime, to 13. So-Yeon 2. Birdie here in each of the opening 2 rounds. It's 157 meters. Playing this from the rough. Didn't get next to any loft on that. She wanted to make sure she wasn't short of the green, but she adversely will have that line drive roll right off the back. I think if she's going to miss, she'd rather miss there than not even making the green in the first place. So-Yeon Jung will be teeing off at number 11. Hasn't had a birdie since she went back-to-back to start the round. Start the day in a tie for 5th position. And in that same area in a tie for 4th at the minute. Just over 90 meters back and slightly on top of the pin here. Well, rolls it to a stop at the back edge. She had gone a little short and a little left compared to her group mates. Now Kwon So-Yeon, a birdie look from 8 meters back at number 12. She's got it. The 3rd-ranked rookie on tour has her 2nd birdie of the day and suddenly finds herself in a share of 6th position. It's 84 meters back of the pin for EA1 as she plays her approach from the fairway. Lands softly and will be putting back towards the left. Really, with the flagstick location today, it's an open challenge. Do you want to try and attack this pin with the rough and the hill looming in behind it? EA1 goes a little bit more conservative. Let's see what Imi Jung has. 64 meters only. 60-degree wedge to get it up, and she'll bounce out of the rough onto the fringe and zip it back to the front of the green. Well, the members of Group 21 each separated by a stroke. Sung Eugene leads at 11 under, Imi Jung at 10 under, and EA1 in sole possession of 3rd, even through the round. So-Yeon 2 at 7 under, and a share with Kwon So-Yeon. So more rookies continuing to impress so far here at the Lotte Open. Well, let's update you on the KLPGA standings, the various major categories we track. We begin with the points list, where the top two are the same there as they are in the money. Pengmin-ji, Chihan Seoul, and EA1 round out 3 through 5 in the points, and then a solid contingent of NH Investment and Securities sponsored athletes on the money list. Lee Ga-young in third, Chung-Yoon-ji fourth, Pengmin-ji fifth, and then the rookies. We are seeing 4 of these 5 really make some noise here in this Lotte Open. EA1 leading by 108 points over Mata Som. Kwon So-yeon in third, Son Ye-bin fourth on 472, and Yoon Ina on 455 points in fifth. It is just fractionally inside of 8 meters for EA1, and somehow she's able to get that to drop. Rewards herself with the conservative approach, just get up on the green and let the putter do the rest. The long-awaited birdie drought, the long-awaited search for birdie, is snapped. An incredible putt to take her up to 10 under par. 7 iron off the tee on the par 3 and inside of 15 centimeters away from a birdie. Nicely worked. Now playing from just off the fringe. A long tricky putt for Jung. So-yeon Jung has found the sand off the tee on number 11. Well, she is going to be able to reach from the sand all the way on to the middle left third of the green. Jean looking to get to 12 under, a long right to left putt. You can see just how much downslope there is on the left side of the green as that did a near full 180-degree turn. First of the par 3s on the back 9 for Lee Ga-yeung, 73% greens in regulation. She's going with 7 iron here. Perhaps she would have been better served with 8, as she has overpowered that tee shot. One of her 2 birdies on the round had come previously, her last birdie as well, at the par 3 7th. Lee Jung keeps herself within 1 with the par at number 10. So-yeon Jung, a long downhill putt for birdie. Looks like it's starting to fade to the right. Also comes up empty in the reserves on the power that time. And a short tap in as well. So EA1, the lone birdie of this group, the first hole of the back 9. see the roller coaster like topography on that par 3. Very minimal room for error, especially if you don't nail your tee shot.
Shot. Great.
The wonderful blend of elegance and power all in one for EA1 as she gets another nice tee shot away. Taking the wood out of her bag here, this 355-meter par 4. Look at the round stats thus far. 8 of 10 greens in regulation, 7 of 8 fairways in regulation. And significantly less than 2 putts per hole. She's got every facet of her game working.
Shot.
Shot.
Unlike her group mate, she elected to go for driver. Cost her a little bit of accuracy in that tee shot as she's gone off to the left. Yu So-yeon too. This is a very difficult ask to try and save a par. Finishes just inside of the cup. So she will be dropping a stroke here. So down to 6 under and a tie for 8th. Regardless of where she finishes, it will be a good haul of points for her. Started the weekend 15th in the rookie table.
Shot.
Going with driver as well as Imi Jung, and also paying the price for it as she also finds some inaccuracy and will have to go have a word with that tour official to try and locate that ball. In the meantime, Lee Dae-yeon from 14 meters, a similar flop down as we saw earlier. This one a little bit further out to the right, but does well to get it inside of 2 meters. Let's check in with Kwon So-yeon from just off the right at 13. Well, she will stick that approach in the little valley between the middle third and the back right third, so an uphill putt for birdie will be next on the docket. And Lee Dae-yeon is able to get up and down for par. .9% of the time, just one putt is all it takes. Kim Ji-soo. Back-to-back birdies now, 3 in her last 4 holes, and has climbed 3 spots from the start of the day into a tie for 6th position.
네, 플레이하겠습니다.
It's 141 meters for EA1. And the pin today towards the back. This is around 6 iron territory. She bounces off the rough and into the sand. A little bit too much power that time. And back to 13. She's only been one putting 24% of the time in this tournament. 2 putt seems probable once again. It's about 1.5 meters on the opposite side of the flag now, and we'll be looking to save a par. Well, we knew there'd be an interesting lie for Amy Jung. She certainly has that, with her back nearly against the 9-foot tree. She catches the canopy with her follow through, still able to get it up and land it on the green, but it doesn't stay there for very long. Not sure how you practice a stance like that. Well, 6 iron on the tee at number 12 for So-Yeon Jung. It's definitely a baiting hole with the pin at the back right of the green today. Seeing how risky do you want to go over top of the water. Back to 11 with Sung Eugene. That will be a decent look at birdie, as she's in almost the exact middle of that putting surface. And Kwon So-Yeon just and only just able to save that par. 5 holes to play, and as she walks to the next tee, has herself within 4. For the first time today, we're seeing someone elect to putt from this position on the fringe. Well, not much difference between those third shots with either the lob wedge or the putter. It's another nice bit of control. We head to the green side bunker with EA1. Look at this. This nearly has a chance to get there. Centimeters away from holing out from the sand, and even one-upping her average putting distance, which has been 1.17 meters. That is how accurate she has been in these approach shots. Looks completely undaunted, unfazed by missing that green in regulation. It's a up and down out of the sand, and she secures her par. Back to 13, here's Kim Ji-soo. It's 143 meters back. And down and into the hazard. That might not be recoverable. Unfortunately, the toward start to the back nine. Looks like it just hit a rather large pothole. Pitched high out of the rough from Amy Jung, and it's about 1.5 meters to the right of the flag. Well, 218 meters off the tee, directly into the sand trap. Dayan with most of her lower body beneath the fairway. She cut that thin, no sand at all, escaping from the bunker with the ball, and it nearly drills the microphone, and she'll have a long walk over. At least there's a folding chair ready for her if she wants to take a load off. Eugene, this would be an impressive birdie. There's not a ton of action on it, and she has just enough to drain another. Moves up to 2 under for the day and restores that 2-stroke advantage. Every other hole from the 7th, she has been able to find birdie. That ball is a goner, so she will have to figure out her drop. Check back in with the situation on 13 in a few moments. In the meantime, we will witness this slightly downhill putt for par from Amy Jung. Makes no mistake on that. She joins EA1, trailing by 2 strokes now. So Jung, a little left to right on this putt. Nothing to trouble her and prevent a par. 4 back now. Through no fault of her own, we're finally seeing someone start to take the reins here in round number 3. You can see using just about all available width of this green at the back right, so you're going over the water, and then you have sand to the right, sand in behind, and plenty of slope to contend with if you are off to the left today. Not making a ton of friends this 12th hole. I believe we've only seen 5 birdies here all day. Will be 7-iron. From Eugene. Will land safely. That middle platform of this putting surface will not be the easiest look at birdie she has today, though. Birdie there in round number 1 in that unbelievable stretch she had, having started on the 10th. She goes birdie at the par 5, pars 11, and then 12 through 15 it was birdie 4 times in a row on the way to a round of 64. EA1 would match that round 1 score. did most of her work on the USA course. So she will also be looking at a downhill putt for birdie, unless there's a little bit more gravitational assistance. And finally the ball sits up there. How close can Jung get down to the pin? Has played this hole par twice in each of round 1 and 2. She lands about 20 centimeters beyond the cup, and it will bounce and roll to the back side of the green. Realistically, though, that is a situation where she might even fancy the putter. Let's visit Jung for the first time today. She is 4 under and looking to pick up one more birdie. It's got a chance if it can just keep rolling. No. Hovers over the edge. That Titleist did not want to make the final revolution on down. So a tip of the cap to her admirers behind the 18th green. She had an eagle at the 6th, but wasn't quite able to sustain the low scores like she was able to do in round 2, where she was excellent. So she will finish the round with a 71. That is her second lowest score of the week, 212 strokes and in a tie for 15th. Well, able to get just enough underneath this. The fringe slows her down and starts her on the line. Nice shot indeed for Hidayaan. The LF has these point standings. They're going to get a lot more of a shakeup this week, I'd imagine, than what we saw after the 10th E1 Charity Open. The top 4 remained unchanged this week. Yuhei Ran, EA1, Peng Min-ji, and Park Ji-young. Jian Sol and Lee Ga-young trading places for 5th and 6th. Then Chun Ye-sung up 2 spots to 8th. Same can be said for Lee Seung-yeon, 2 spots up to the 10th position. And Mata Som gaining some momentum, up 4 spots into the top 10 in 9th position. So this, the 4th stroke after the penalty for Kim Ji-soo, and has just enough to get up the hill, but that will be a mid-range birdie putt that will be unforgiving and might take one more off of her and undo most of, if not all of those birdies she had put together the final few holes. Up 3 spots at the moment into a tie for 6th position. The weight control here will be the most important aspect of this putt if Sung Eugene has desires of seeing 13 under. Starts it off nicely to the left. It wasn't going to have the weight or the line that time, but she does well to not play it too aggressively and then put the par in doubt. So now this becomes an important bogey save. After After going back-to-back birdies, can Kim Ji-soo mitigate the damage? Yes. It's about as emphatic of a celebration as she knew she had it online. It's a nice way to recover after finding the hazard. Not letting the penalty completely undermine the past few holes' work. Well, from slightly further back on the green, but a similar downhill birdie look for EA1. She comes closer. Needs a little nudge from 10 centimeters away to secure that par. I think Sung Eugene, more than anyone, is going to breathe a sigh of relief in that moment. Unless Amy Jung has an improbable putt from off the green, she should be able to maintain that two-stroke advantage. After a nice putt from a difficult position uphill on the fringe, Dayan is able to get her par to stay in a tie for fourth position. That move to the right almost immediately once it had started on the final path towards the pin, and as soon as Amy Jung stood up, you could tell that it wasn't to be at number 12. Here's the approach for Kwon So-yeon. We'll zip back to the border of the fringe, but give her the credit for attacking the pin. Two meters on this to try and save par for Amy Jung, no problem. So she will stay at 10 under par, heading to the par 3. Still fourth in the K rankings as of May 31st, trailing only Chanana Yuhei Ran and Peng Min-ji. Par as well for Sung Eugene, and now Group 21 is fully through the 12th hole, and we will catch up with them again at the par 3. .77% greens in regulation, looking to add another. Will be unable to do so as she comes up back left. Well, this par 5, 14th, taking no prisoners with this downslope guarding the pin. You do not want to be long, especially from that position of the green, so the birdie will not come off. She will settle for a par, and will carry that 7 under score over to 50. Well, this has been one of the quieter stretches of the tournament for EA1 from 11, 12, and 13. Hasn't found a birdie yet in this particular window. Bogeyed the 12th yesterday. And this has been a tough stretch in general. 12, 13, and 14. Thrice on 12 and 13 today we've seen balls find the hazard. And despite 9 through the first 2 rounds, we have not seen any penalties yet today on the 14th, and a nice start.
핸드폰 촬영 자제 부탁드립니다.
Well, 2 for 2 on great drives at the 14th. 13th, excuse me. And Jung, the final to tee off, looking to make it a perfect 3 for 3. Now, so Jung trying to navigate this tricky spot. This is a different technique. We're seeing the variety of ways to try and get down to the middle from that exact spot. Seen a few short little pitches that don't even carry out of the fringe. We've seen a putt, and now we've seen a flop, and this one the first to go beyond the flag. Trying to plot the path out of the rough and down onto the green. Now a nice look at a relatively flat line And the par saved for So-Yeon Jung. Able to sustain that 8 under mark. Alright, so the drop is made, and with that, there is little room for error on this approach now out of the rough. So with the penalty, 4th of 5 strokes here at number 14. And she is able to get it up. That is a mega save. And just a few minutes after I'd said no one had found the penalty area on 14 yet today. Unfortunately, Lee Dae-yeon becomes the first. But with an attack like that, par is still on the cards. It's 139 meters on the right side of the fairway to 13 for EA1. Playing with fire a little bit at the extreme back right. The tall grass and the water just waiting to claim another victim, but she just hangs on at the top of the green. So-Yeon 2 trying to get to 7 under. With a downhill putt for birdie. Able to knock that down. Our first since the 10th, which was on the final of a 3 consecutive birdie run. She had the bogey a few holes ago, but able to make that up now with just a few holes remaining. Sort of got the glimpse of it, but it's only 9 yards off the extreme right of this green. The next approach belongs to Imi Jung, and she too has found a penalty, bouncing all the way off the back. Can add another to the list, unfortunately, and that is going to take her, at least for the time being, out of the peloton towards the front of the leaderboard. So EA1 narrowly escapes. Imi Jung does not. Sung Eugene is also able to stay on the fringe. So 2 for 3 in group number 21. If we show you this leaderboard, expect some changes shortly. Imi Jung, who had been able to stay 1 under through 12 holes, looks like that streak will break. Though we said the same for Lee Dae-yeon after she found a hazard, but will likely be able to find a par after a great 4th shot. It is tight at the top of the leaderboard, nearly halfway through our coverage of round number 3 here at the Lotte Open in Cheongna. Well, Amy Jung was trying for the longest time not to abandon all hope, but that one was definitely hazard bound, so she takes her drop and paces herself back up and tries to pick out a landing point. In the interim, Irayan is trying to save her par after also picking up a penalty on this hole. Only just gets enough. And the relief she exuded as she saw that drop. That is a massive putt to keep her in a tie for 4th position. And with the nature of this par 4, if Amy Jung doesn't hole out, she's bogeying, and all she can do is concede a half-hearted smile at her caddy as she can't get out of the rough. Can't underscore the degree of difficulty in a moment like that, because if you catch that ball thin, you're going back to the other side of the green and you're not better off. So with slim margins, unfortunately for Amy Jung, it is going to cost her at least 1 stroke. A1 from the right side of the green. Not a ton of pace. Didn't want to roll too far back down the hill. It's 8.4 meters just on the green for Kwon Soyeon, looking for a birdie to take her to 8 under, but that dove to the right and stayed short as well. Now putting from the top of this green, our leader trying to add another birdie by millimeters to the right. It would stay out. So a tap in to save par, staying at 12 under when those around her are having a fraction of frustration. So Eugene knows she missed a golden opportunity to put some more distance between herself and the challenging pack, which consists primarily at the moment of her group mates. Well, no desire to bring the water into play. That is a conservative approach towards the back and middle of the green. And now Amy Jung needs this for double bogey. Has to have this, and she does. A lot of the damage done. Down to 8 under, but a triple would have been almost insurmountable. Well, perfect at 14, back-to-back birdies. So Jung would love to add another, and she's put herself in a great position to do just that. Now Ye-won also trying to avoid dropping a stroke, 92% until now. Pulled to the inside, and it will be bogey, so that gap does increase. Despite our leader only finding a par, it is the second bogey of the round, the first since the first few holes of the front nine for EA1. It's an uncharacteristic miss. That will feel like a longer walk to the next tee as she tries to put that bogey in the rearview mirror. On to 15, Kwon So-yeon trying to stay at 7 under. She too with a short miss. Okay, so these greens are starting to take more and more away from the field. That is the second bogey of the day, the first since the opening hole of round 3 for the fellow rookie. We could be in for a rather dicey sprint to the finish here. Well, the last thing that Jung is going to want to see is more tall grass and more water hazards, but that is what she is facing at 14, nearly half a kilometer long. And another hole with fine margins. 225 meters is the 22nd longest average on tour, but it's been the accuracy that thus far this season have caused some problems. Not the case today, especially for Sung Eugene. Yusoyeon 2 from just about 20 meters away. Birdie was always going to be a tall task here. So a short downhill putt for par will be next after China now plays from the fringe. Haven't seen a ton of the defending champion. She is currently even for the day at 4 under in a tie for 16th. Kim Ji-soo on 15. Right at the flagstick and should rightfully be elated with that. Well, between the two ball markers, but short of the target. So it looks like a trio of pars will come here at 16. Yusoyeon 2 will be holding firm once again. And it's not just that group, it's in general. The birdies are becoming increasingly hard to find. The only real exception to that rule has been Kim Chae-hee on the day, who was 5 under, though she had teed off on the 10th and is working through the USA course as we speak. Miss hit from Lee Daeyeon and likely into the sand. So it's 278 meters remaining for EA1, just in behind the cutout for the sprinkler. believe this is 5 wood, just trying to keep it low and get it back into the fairway. On the past few strokes, we've seen her at least drop the bottom left hand on the follow through, and that time the stroke altogether looked a little bit wonky. So she's heading to the trees to try and find an escape with her third. In the meantime, here's So-Yeon Jung for birdie at 14. So a miss to the inside and kicked back out nearly a meter. Rounds the edge of the cup and stays out. 5 wood as well for Sung Eugene, though from a much more favorable lie. It's 274 meters remaining. Takes that nice and casually, as if she was just taking a few warm-up shots on the range. Rolls all the way to the edge of the fairway and will be going over the sand on the approach to the green. Well, able to recover from a missed opportunity for birdie and save a par. Still in a 3-way tie for 8th with Lee Dae-yeon and Imi Jung. And on to 15, Lee Dae-yeon. If she wants to stay in that 3-way tie, she needs a good out and does not have one. She bangs the sand wedge in frustration after failing to get onto the green, and will have to attempt another. But she might be racking up a bogey on that hole as well.
플레이하겠습니다. 뒤에 분들 움직이지 말아주세요.
Well, not a favorable angle by any stretch of the imagination for EA1, as she is about 2 paces to the left of a tree from the rough, but she's able to muscle it out of the rough, but perhaps too much muscle that time. She'll stay on the fringe, but a bit of a safari here at the most recent hole through the tall grass to the left of the fairway. Lee Jung looking for a bounce back hole here at 14. Just a 70-meter pitch up to the green. I'm sure the heart rate rose for a moment as she saw that pick up some speed and work towards the tall grass, but it has enough backspin to stay on the green. Well, out of the sand and into this awkward stance as Idayan plays her 4th at 15. Has to get it close to try and avoid a double bogey unless she has a miracle up that long sleeve. Well, that's what she was hoping to see out of the sand, and she has a 4.5 footer for bogey next. And our leader playing this 14th. Little to no issue thus far. It's less than 70 meters over the sand and up to the back right, excuse me. No one is ball striking better at the moment than she. And as those beneath her on the leaderboard start to stumble a bit in the heart of this back nine here at Cheongna, Sung Eugene is not having those same issues. 3 strokes is her advantage at the moment, playing the final par 5 of her round and might be even looking at another birdie. We're in the final stretch here in round number 3. EA1, a little chip down from the top of the green and didn't have enough to get it all the way down the slope. And after her putter failed her for the first time really since the first few holes of the last, EA1's going to need to try and find a little bit of vengeance there. Now Lee Dae-yeon hoping that it's just one drop shot here, playing for bogey. She had to get up, and unfortunately that is the first square on the scorecard since hole number 3. It takes her down to 7 under par. And a bit of an exhale for Imi Jung supporters as she has stayed on the fringe with the red stake marking the penalty area, not far behind. A touch to get it down the hill, but not quite enough yardage on that putt. So it is a 2-putt par. But after a double bogey at the last, that will feel a whole lot more satisfying. Well, narrowly avoiding the pot bunker to the right of the fairway at the 15th. From someone else in the group, here's So-yeon Jung playing her second at this par 4. Nicely up, a good kick, and she will have an opportunity for birdie. As does Sung Eugene. Can she get to 13 under here? It's downhill, she needs to start at about 2 feet to the left. She's got it. 2 birdies now on the back 9, and that advantage is growing with each passing hole, on the way to 50 in the books this weekend, and she's watched that advantage inflate. Is now 4 strokes. Can anyone keep pace? Yoo So-yeon too wants to throw her hat in the ring. This would take her up for a tie for 3rd, just missing to the left. She came so close on that long-range birdie attempt. So a tap-in par. With 1 hole remaining, excuse me. She is at 7 under. On pace for a 70 on the day, which is about the average score from the top 30 at the moment with how difficult this course has been playing. EA1 much better with the flat stick this time. She is even through 14, but it is her groupmate that is doing the work herself to extend the lead. 4 of the top 11 have yet to crack an under par score. Only Imi Jung is over par. In the top 10, the 11th ranked player at the moment, she also 1 over. All on 15. So-yeon Jung has this to get to 9 under. And a share of the runner-up position. She's got it there. Her 3rd birdie of the day and her first since just hole number 2. And you can see some relief as she's finally got one. Well, one of the most visually appealing holes in this back nine, the 15th. Look at our leader's stats: 9 of 11 greens in regulation, 11 fairways in regulation on the day, and 1.57 putts per hole. This 15th modeled after hole number 14 at Pine Valley, the Golden Bear course in Beijing. Seemingly unable to make a mistake right now. She is so dialed in the zone right now. On to 16 with Lee Dae-yeon. Well, looking south over the western portion of Bears Best here in Cheongna, and we'll update the leaderboard because there's been a bit of swapping of positions. You can see the 4-stroke advantage for Sung Eugene at 13 under par. Also, Yu So-yeon 2 up to a top 5 position at the moment. One more quick break as we near 4 p.m. local time in the northern portion of this beautiful country. We'll take a quick break and come back. Catch up on what's going down on the par 4 15th hole right after a quick break. 4 holes remain in round number 3 for our leader, who is 13 under through 15. This is her approach on the par 4, over the rough, over the sand with 9-iron. Straight as an arrow, 24 meters at the apex. Not quite the backspin to take it closer, but sat up nicely, and how she's been putting, that is more than makeable. Bounces up onto the fringe. Will likely be a put the ball down kind of situation from there. Now EA1 just a little bit further right on this approach, also going with 9. It's 117 meters away. Less loft, and that seems to be the ticket. Have to try and find a few birdies here to make sure that's not a gulf heading into the final round. Well, a swooping putt for birdie. She started at about 3 meters to the left of the hole and probably needed another 2 on top of that. The power was right there. Not to be outdone. Thank you very much, says Jung. A little remember me with that approach. Remarkable how consistent you can be for 17 holes, and one can unravel things. Short tap in par for Lee Daeyeon, who remains even with just 2 holes to play. Yusoyeon 2 on the 18th. Her attempt with the hybrids. Snake its way up and back down the hill. Be a tricky putt for birdie. Now from just into the second cut, the third cut even, second cut of rough. Well, heads to the back of the green, and that will be about 20, maybe even 25 meters back down. Seven and a half meters, this right to left putt towards the pin. It's close. Grazes the outside right edge of the cup, but wouldn't have enough to fall for another birdie, and EA1 might be motivated by that. Down from the edge of the green, about 4 feet shy of the target. Now EA1 for birdie. Starts to close the gap with with a very nice putt. Takes her back under par. And now the advantage is just 3 for Sung Eugene. At the penultimate hole, Kwan So-yeon has this 2-meter putt for par and is able to knock it down the rest of the way. She is even for the day, heading to the 18th and final hole. Well, her first birdie since the 9th. She has nullified half of that double bogey with a birdie putt. Can add a couple more to try and bring herself really back into the hunt. And the short par save. So through no fault of her own, sees her lead shrink to 3. Same number of holes remaining in the round for our featured group. Back down from So-yeon 2, and that's straightened out with about 3 meters to go, and will carry her beyond target. Well, it's improbable, but not impossible for So-yeon Jung to get to 10 under. A good effort that is only marginally not to be. Well, a nice roll back down. It was in the second cut for a moment, but Imi Jung will find the fairway off the tee. Last to play in the group, Eugene. Another powerful drive. She has not found a birdie on 16, 17, or 18 yet this week. Conversely, EA1 was able to birdie the 16th in round number 1. But it has not been a low-scoring stretch. So-yeon Jung for par. 362 meters down from where our featured group just teed off. So keeps herself in a tie for third with that short effort. 2 spots from where she started the day. So-yeon is up 6 positions. Had started the day outside of the top 10. Is now 6 back in a tie with Lee Daeyeon. And the par secured. Nice way to finish the 18. An impressive run into the clubhouse. Having gone 67 in round 1, it is a 70 today. A tie for 5th. Heading into Championship Sunday. Of the final 2 groups on course, those are the main contenders for the LOTTE Open crown. We are whittling the field down and starting to see who are the pretenders and who are the contenders, with only around 20 holes of golf remaining this week. P2 at the moment, CA1. From the middle of the fairway at 16. Pulled the 9-iron out of the bag. It's to be middle right and is in a pretty decent position. Wouldn't take birdie out of the realm of possibility there. And 5-iron, the club of choice off the tee at 17 for Lee Dae-yeon. Well, can't strike it a whole lot better than that. I think she's even surprised herself a little bit there with that effort. Take her to 8 under if she can convert on the short birdie remaining for her. 9-iron as well for Sung Eugene, 124 meters out. She's got that really well. We can see that conservative is the mindset here with the water nearby, though I'd say of anyone on course, Sung Eugene has the most room to try and be a little bit more aggressive down the stretch. And attack-minded has been the way Lee Jung has approached this day. With the exception of the double bogey, it's paid off for her. This one is going left and away. Body language told you the result before we even saw the ball land on the green. That's a mishit and missed opportunity. Back to 17, Chan Sol. First time we're seeing her today. If she can get this birdie, she'll move into a tie for 6th position, has just enough on it. 3 bogeys in the first 4 holes for her today, but she has been methodically making up those strokes on the way in. She'll head to the 18th, and maybe, just maybe, she will be a force to be reckoned with tomorrow after all. Big thumbs up on the way off. She's one of the best characters on top of the best performers on tour. To 18, Kwon So-yeon. It's 12.1 meters as she tries to find birdie. The line is decent, the weight just not quite there. Well, it's improbable, but Sung Eugene from that position has found another birdie. That is 5 since the 7th hole, and her advantage has been boosted once again. It is 14 under now. So 7 shots clear of Lee Dae-yeon, 6 if she can make this short birdie. Not a ton of break on it. One she needs to have if she wants any shot at a top 3 finish, because the players in front of her have been almost automatic from that range. It's a nice birdie, good pickup, and finally back under par. The gap has increased to 5 on Lee Jung. She was not happy with this approach shot. Can she recover with a birdie? It started back to the left, centimeters shy. It's one of the most frustrating things in this game when you make a mistake and you do 99% of the work to recover from it. Just comes up short. She is still even. And now 5 back to the tee on 17. This was a few moments ago, 5-iron for So-yeon Jung. It's looking a little left. It's just going to have enough to stay on top of the green and avoid the nasty downhill rough. You can see an exhale from her as well, knowing it was awfully close. it's technically the shortest birdie putt of the three. Can she keep pace with Sung Eugene? No. Too far to the inside left. Still 1 under for the day. And Kwon So-yeon trying to finish with a 72 in round 3, and she's done that. After consecutive rounds of 69 to start the tournament, she goes even today and will exit the course at the moment in a share of 8th position. 4 under is the second lowest score on the day. The only one to challenge her at the moment is Kim Chae-hee, who is on page 2 of the leaderboard, 6 under on the day for 5 under for the tournament. But no one is being able to catch up and keep pace with Sung Eun-jin at the moment. 4-stroke advantage heading to the 17th tee. Oh, putting from just on the green, the back left. As it swoops to the right, to the outside of the cup, the birdie will have to be attempted on 18 instead. And 18 is where we find Lee Dae-yeon. It's a 141-meter approach. About 7 yards off the left front of the green. Not a bad effort. You can see the power hitters that can leave themselves with an iron shot are much more likely to find birdie at the last. So Jung, it is a par at 17, and we'll head to the 18th and final with 5 strokes separating she and the leader. On to 17, the final par 3 of this Australasian course here at Bears Best. A litter of sand traps to the left side of the green, 3 pot bunkers, and a nasty sloping green to say the least. Pin placement today, 16 yards beyond that final sand trap, the closest to the fairway and the green, and 7 yards from the left, so almost a perfect 90-degree angle out from the first of the circular bunkers in that last defensive short bunker. It will be 4 iron. This 173-meter par 3 certainly will test the field. Back-to-back pars here. Her birdie at the last was the first time in the final 3 holes she had found a birdie all week long. Can she go 2 for 2? She hasn't had consecutive birdies all day. She had at least 1 run of back-to-back in each of the first and second rounds. Well, to say that's too much club would be a bit of an understatement. Into the rough at the back, you can draw a straight line from the pin at about 25 meters, and that is where you would find our leader. Jian Sol out of the sand. This might go. Just tails off at the very end. That would have sent the crowd into raptures. So she will be unable to get to 8 under. It is an even par round of 72. 209 strokes through 54 holes of competition. EA1 is electing to go with 5 iron, which, with the benefit of hindsight, would have been the club Sung Eugene. 24 meters at the apex, looks straight at this cup, and it is brilliant. Lee Dae-yeon, this is a lengthy birdie putt. We might just have to wait a few more moments to bear witness to that. An issue with the replay is that putt was taken moments ago, so we'll get that sorted. In the meantime, we will witness the tee shot for Amy Jung, also going with 5 iron. Birdie here yesterday. Trying to keep pace with the rest of her group mates and get to under par. Well, Well, the distance was there, but a little bit more central. All right, now we will see. Lee Daeyeon. It's 4.4 meters. She's been building towards a moment like this. It's starting back online. I think it's going to go. So back-to-back birdies for Lee Daeyeon, something she hadn't done all round long prior to now. She comes in with a 35. It is another round of 70, and she sits in a tie for third at the end of her round. Rocketed off the tee from So-Yeon Jung. Nestled into the fairway, and she's had a relatively quiet day, but she has steadily moved her way up the leaderboard. 2 under on the 18th hole, and we can see Lee Daeyeon now at 9 under, in a tie the top of those in third position. EA won a brilliant tee shot at 17. Should be able to narrow that gap slightly in a few moments here. The final 2 holes of round number 3, our coverage of the Lotte Open, event number 9 of 34 here in the 2022 LPGA Tour of Korea season. With Sung Eugene nearly off balance and into the bunker, she pitches this back up from 20 meters out, and from a very uncomfortable and unconventional stance, she does well to get that back up top. As much as she'd love to add another, no one can touch her if she goes par on the way in. 148 meters on this approach for So-Yeon Jung. Carries the sand brilliantly, bounces once and rattles off the pin. Asking her kind of that question, did we just hit it off the stick? He'll say, yep. Takes all the speed off of it and keeps her in contention for a birdie. 5.8 meters for Imi Jung. Yes, she gets it there. All right, so some momentum building as she birdies this 17th once again. Has her double digits under par heading to the last, and that smile radiates off her face. Trying to reward herself for an incredible tee shot and join Imi Jung in the birdie category on the 17th. Yet to find one here at the penultimate all week long, and she'll have to wait until Sunday to try again. Some flashbacks to 18 yesterday where she had a putt where she was anticipating a bit more break and it just stayed straight all the way through. Will cost her an opportunity to narrow the gap. Back on 18, So-Yeon Jung, after hitting the flag stick, keeping herself in close, she is able to get that birdie to drop. Fourth on the day. A lovely round. 69, and that takes her also into a tie for the runner-up position at the moment. Now with her group and the rest of the field starting to make a charge, these are the pressure moments where you can overthink these short looks for par. And Sung Eugene has done just that. An uncharacteristic bogey for her. It is her second of the day and the first in 16 holes. And that makes this 18th a little bit more interesting, as her lead is just 3. EA1 secures that par, so it is a 3-way tie now at 10 under. Making for a dramatic finish here. And making this run in all the more interesting. We go from the longest par 3 to the longest par 4 on course. A pretty straight shot all the way down. The fairway will narrow when the first set of bunkers come into play that really aren't a factor off the tee. And then it's been 5-iron or hybrid from the second shot down and at the flag. And you can draw a line from that cutout to the left of the sand trap straight to the middle of the back left bunker to find the flag, technically 14 yards off the bunker to the front, 8 from the left. That is the pin placement here on Saturday. She's been averaging 220 meters per drive. And another perfect tee shot into the fairway. That's where things are expected to be. The drama intensifies with the approach shots, and the supporters awaits the final group to come through the 18th hole. Two birdies and a bogey through 8 holes on the back 9 for EA1. One of the most impressive things about her performance this week has been her ability to put missed shots behind her and rally for the next hole, showing a lot of steel and composure. This isn't quite uncharted territories for her. She got a pretty good lesson in what it takes to go shot for shot to the end of a tournament. She came up narrowly shy just a couple of weeks ago for the win. She is determined not to let another opportunity pass her by, having been the runner-up at the Doosan match play. The event that would end up being won by Hong Jung-mi at the match play. She was one up in the final pairing in that. So for 3 for 3 into the fairway. Will we see any more volatility on the leaderboard? Well, the course is nearly empty. Only 2 groups remain, including the featured group of 3 of the top 4. One final break. We will come back to wrap up this 18th and final hole on moving day, and there has been a fair bit of movement, especially so the last 20 minutes. So yes, we'll come back, conclude 18, get you the 3rd round highlights and the final leaderboard as we are setting up for quite the Sunday here in Cheongna. Now this is where there's an area to critique. It has been the greens in regulation for Jung. If she gets it here, it will only be 50% on the day. That is where some of her difficulties have come from. She's gone with hybrid, not a full swing, about 3/4. And even then, it's a bit long. As much as you want to finish up with the birdie, you can imagine that the greenskeepers might be even a little bit more aggressive tomorrow and take this pin closer to the front. So an opportunity to see what works, what's the club to attack when the tournament could be on the line. It is 7-iron for EA1, and she's cut this a bit to the right side of the green. The distance was exactly where it needed to be. It was the ball flight that takes her away from the pin. So that almost certainly takes birdie out of the equation. 7-iron as well for our leader. That was a remarkable stat that just flashed across your screen. When she's been able to find the fairway off the tee. 10 times she's found birdie, 21 pars. Has been that type of week thus far for Sung Yoon Jin. So all three are on. No one quite in destined for birdie range, if you will. But it is these three protagonists as well as So-Yeon Jung, the top four. So So-Yeon Jung might disrupt and prevent this featured group, this final group, from being the final group tomorrow as well. So this trio each quite some distance away from the pin. I've seen some pretty impressive shots here at 18. But I think a birdie from any of these three might top them all. If we've learned anything, it's not to doubt that that's possible. What must be going through her mind? 19 years of age and in contention for a big win. If she can get her birdie and get to 11 under, I have to imagine she will feel like tomorrow might just be her day. She's been hanging around all day long. The birdie is not to be. And now she will be walking over and thinking back, okay, I was around this distance, even a bit closer yesterday, and I just let my concentration slip, and it cost me a par. She can't have another moment like that. 3 already will be tough to make up. She was 71 yesterday. She's on pace to do the same here today. So with that, a 4-stroke swing either way might be a little bit too much to ask, but I'm starting to get a little bit carried away. Through 17 holes, 22 putts for Imi Jung. She has not had a ton of joy off the tee, but in these moments she has. An 11.4 meter putt for birdie. A valiant effort, but it comes up short. So she too will be looking at a short to mid-range putt for par. Be a round of 71 for Imi Jung as well. Well, regardless of what happens tomorrow, she is all but guaranteed to find at least her second top 5 finish of the season. Only had one all year long last year, and that was at the Pro Celebrity in September. Here's our leader. Can she get one more birdie? Nope. Never wanted to move right. I'll take it back. Slipping on some of my recollection from early in the season. 4th at the Celtrine Queens Masters. That was all the way back in June, nearly a year ago. Finished P2 at the PC Card Hung Young Ladies Cup. And a P5 at the Jeju Samdasu Masters. But regardless, this is as good a form as we have seen the 22-year-old in quite some time. When the rest of the field stumbled a bit, she was able to persevere, pick up birdie after birdie. It's 3 under for the day when her other group mates are still stuck at 1 under. Now EA1 needs this for par, trying to avoid a repeat of yesterday. These are the pressure-packed moments. Be a little right to left. She gave herself too much room. So on consecutive days, she will bogey the 18th hole. And once again, she is back to single digits under par. An even par round of 72. So that drops her down into a tie for 4th. Jung with a relatively straight shot as well. This for her round of 71. Would book her spot in the final group tomorrow. Be her highest score of the week thus far, having gone 72 under in round 1, 7 under yesterday. And a short putt for her 71st stroke. And it is 10 under heading into Championship Sunday. So finishing the day where she started it, in a tie for 2nd. Could hear a pin drop on 18. The course is clear for everyone but our leader, who's trying to ensure that she will start the day with a 3-stroke advantage. And she's got her par. So a bogey at the first, a bogey at the 17th, but 5 birdies in between. 69 and comfortably ahead. And 22 hours from now, that moment could result in a flower and water shower and the title. Let's go through our third round highlights now. We will begin on the par 5 second. EA1 playing her third shot, the approach, and she gets it within 15 centimeters. Also on the second, at that point, the co-leader with the opening hole bogey from Sung Eugene. And Imi Jung not quite as close, but also a fantastic approach to set up the birdie. Fast forward to the seventh. And with the bass pumping in the background, yes, that would fall. And acknowledges the raucous supporters, some VIPs in attendance as well. Would be her first birdie of the day. It certainly would not be her last. It would take her back to even at that moment. Then on 9, Imi Jung playing 5-iron from 152 meters back in the fairway. A good bounce and an even better roll right on the line. And she would be money for her second birdie of the front 9. Took her to the 10 under mark, where she would see later in the round, but it would not be easy. Speaking of not easy, another impressive birdie, and as composed as if it was just another day in the office, as she goes birdies at 7 and 9 to wrap up the front. EA1 once again on the par 5. This was an absurd putt for birdie. A lot of movement and a lot of distance to cover. She gets both. And after a long awaited stretch, she would find bird once again. Wouldn't take long for Sung Eugene to return to the birdie column. Navigating that tight line nicely indeed on 11. Then on 13, things got a little bit hairy for EA1 and certainly for Imi Jung. Her approach shot bounces in the rough and would fall down into the reeds and the water. She would take a penalty, and then it would get worse from there. She would not be able to escape the rough. And it could have been a triple if not for what could be a tournament-saving putt from about 7 meters away after finally getting on the green. Be her last bogey of the day. And while her group mates were treading water, both literally and figuratively, Sung Eugene was almost able to pick up a birdie amongst the chaos. But she'd settle for par. And on 14, the putter was dialed in. A near miss at the last. She's able to drop it in at the 14th. And the birdie parade was not done there. We were checking in and out with Soyeon Jung throughout the day. On 15, she'd have her first birdie since she started the round back-to-back, and she lets out a sigh of relief. Also on the 15th, this is Imi Jung from 113 meters out. Drops it in brilliantly. She wouldn't have the only birdie in the group, though, as EA1 would have this impressive putt from distance. Unfortunately, it would be her final birdie of the day at 15, though for a time, she was keeping pace with Imi Jung. On to 16. Well, when your putter's dialed in, putts like this don't faze you. The third birdie of the back 9, the 5th since the 7th hole. She'd be up to 14 under momentarily. However, she would stumble on 17. First, Imi Jung, no such problems. Nearly a 6-meter birdie putt, the final birdie of the day in this group. And she was finally able to fully make up for the double at the 13th, arriving at 10 under. Sung Eugene, however, gave herself a little bit too much room to the left. Goes around the cup, and she would drop for just the second time in the day, the first time since the first hole She would be able to recover with a par at the last. So she would be dropping no further down the leaderboard. Couple of big-time putts on 18, including this birdie. So-Yeon Jung for a round of 69. Going 2 under on the back 9, and then the bogey bug came back out to bite EA1 once again on the last hole. So she is left 2 shots off the board on 18 and sees the gap between she and the leader sitting at 4 under par, or 4 strokes, with a even par round here in round number 3. Sung Eugene, with her 69th stroke of the day, would find her par and a comfortable lead atop the leaderboard. So here's where we sit. 13 under. 3 under for both she and So-Yeon Jung in this third round. Imi Jung would go with a 1 under 71 to also have a share of second position heading into Sunday. Lee Dae-yeon, a 2 under round of 70, matched by Yu So-Yeon, 2. Also will highlight as well an impressive performance on the day from Park Ji-young, who was mostly absent, but she goes with a 69 as well to climb 10 spots into a share of 8th. Sung Ga-eun, a tough one today, a 76. 4 over takes her to 4 under for the 54-hole score. And then things get tight at 2 under par from 25th all the way down to 32nd, and that includes Chanana, who was 2 over today and takes the defending champion almost certainly out of contention, and 37 players in total under par. But as it stands, it certainly feels like Sung Eugene's tournament to lose. She will be back in the featured group tomorrow as she looks for the title at the Lotte Open. This is where we will leave you for this Saturday. We hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday and be back with us tomorrow, once again on the air an hour earlier, 1 p.m. local time. We will see you back at Bears Best in Cheongna. On behalf of our entire crew, I've been Adam Jenkins, signing off from my Toronto studio. Look forward to the championship round tomorrow. So, one final goodbye, bid you a pleasant adieu, and see you tomorrow, where we will crown a champion at the Lotte Open.